Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You're always most welcome. Well, today we have a very interesting subject. It's a kit that's been loaned to us actually by our good friend Chris Doney, who's a subscriber to the channel and a regular watcher. And he's come up with one of the Hella Humbrol kits. Of course, these were very sort of popular in the 70s and 80s. Obviously Humbrol took them over mid-late 80s when Airfix got in trouble. They took them over too, of course. And there was always this crossover between Hella and Airfix where they used to share tooling and things, or swap tooling. Things like the Lightning, for example, the 48 scale English Electric Lightning, amongst many other kits, was chopped and changed, and sometimes it was made in the UK, sometimes it was made in France by Hella. Anyway, this is the North American F-86F Sabre. Now, this is America's first proper jet fighter, and a very successful one indeed, of course. Used widely in the Korean War to great effect. Didn't come in, I don't think, straight away. There was a bit of a panic at the start of the Korean War when obviously they were flying Corsairs and things, and they were coming up against the new MiG-15, whereby this is where us Brits didn't really cover ourselves in glory, I'm afraid. We had a delegation over from Soviet Union to the Rolls-Royce factory looking at the Neen engine, which was in the things like the Meteor, I think that's right, isn't it? And unfortunately we sort of let them see the design of it, and there's other stories saying that they had special shoes on that had this soft flat plasticine insert in the heels, and they were going around in the actual tooling shop where they were actually turning the metallurgy shop, and they were picking up samples of what the metal was, allegedly. My father told me this story, and he was in the aircraft industry, and he said that it was a big scandal, you know, and the Russians are basically spying, and we sort of let them have the designs as well and showed them design. I have no idea why we did that. That is, even forgetting the current situation in the world, that is just crazy to do that when you are in not a conflict, but a bit of a standoff with another superpower. Why you'd share your technology in that way, I can't imagine. But anyway, this is what allegedly happened, and before you knew it, bingo, a copy of the Neen engine was put straight into the MiG-15, and it caused real problems. And the British and the Americans in Korea were getting shot down right left and centre, until we got the Meteors and America got their Sabres. Now, one of these actually flew right over my house only 2.5–3 weeks ago, and I would have put it on YouTube, but I just wasn't. It was so fast. It was only cruising. It was only about 300 miles an hour, I think. But it was so fast. I just never had a chance to get the camera and get it. It was already gone. I recognised it. I was able to identify it positively as the F-86, and it's the one that's got the stripes on it. I think it's based in Duxford. Is it Duxford? So there's only one in the UK anyway. It's a nice one. It's got quite an interesting scheme on it as well, as I recall. Anyway, let's have a look at Chris's kit. I'll zoom you in, and we can have a look at this first proper Generation 1 jet fighter from the good old USA and North American, who of course previously developed the Mustang. So, Hella kits, not the most impressive in terms of their boxing. This is this era as well, when these manufacturers, which is worth mentioning, this is when they're competing with the likes of my favourite manufacturer of that era, Matchbox. And instead of having beautiful artwork like Matchbox, these guys thought it was a great idea, as did Airfix, to put a finished kit on the front. Now, that, in fairness, this one doesn't look bad. It looks quite nicely done, if a bit bland, but it didn't sell the products very well, and this was a very strange time in terms of design. I think there's been an outcry where people complained about the violence, and they complained about there being more than one aircraft on the box in the artwork and only one in the kit, and all this kind of silliness. So they went to this super safe, rather politically correct sort of artwork, which was just a photo of a finished kit. Not a particularly greatly done kit. Generally, some of them were quite poor. Actually, the Airfix ones in particular, and this killed the sales. And the Matchbox sales were taking off like a rocket at the time. And this is almost like, we've got a really serious competitor. Let's actually do things even worse than we did before and see how we get on. And it's a bit like the Ferrari Formula 1 team at the moment, isn't it? But anyway, let's not get into that. So let's have a look inside what's in the box. So I'm guessing the year on this is probably about 82, 83, it might tell us somewhere. Does it say? I don't think it does on the box. No, doesn't say. It might tell us on the instructions. Let's have a look. We've got one bag, and Chris wants me to open the bag. Hella Humbrol guide. Paint guide, is that? No, it's just a strange waffling guide in case you've got parts missing. Okay, so yeah, that's a little form to fill in, and it's got the Humbrol guide, paint guide there, Humbrol numbers and Hella numbers. Well, they're making life hard for themselves there, aren't they? I duplicated everything, but anyway. Do we have a date on this? No, don't think so. Trun in France, where we're based. But there doesn't seem to be any dates. I think we can check it on scale notes, but I'm pretty sure it's early 80s, this one. You can tell by the style, you know. So let's start with the decals. Which don't look too bad. Let's have a look. So we've got the German option, because obviously they were subsequently sold to the German Air Force Luftwaffe. And we've got the good old USA boys. And those, a little bit of yellowing going on here, but that's not too bad actually, so considering how old they are. They're 40 years old, I reckon these are. So that's not too bad at all. Stars and bars. I'm not sure if I would actually use them today or not. Probably not. I like the checkerboard for the tail though, that's nicely done, isn't it? But they don't seem too bad. Hella decals. Yeah, very good. Whether you actually want to use them is another matter. Quite old. So, moving on. What have we got then? Destructions. We have a separate paint guide, which is another sort of Hella idiosyncrasy. And by the way, I didn't realise when I did my previous vampire review for the Marivox Vampire, that was actually a Hella kit originally. And I can tell now because it's got the same sort of style, very similar style, in the instructions. And here you've got your colour call-outs and basically giving you your decal instructions, numbers of the decals to give you a guide there, which is fine. And on the Royal Norwegian Air Force, that's another option. Now this is, again, this is curious, isn't it? The Royal Norwegian Air Force. Well, I didn't see any decals for Norwegian Air Force. Have I missed something? Because I think that's wrong. Totally wrong. That is not included. No decals for that are included in this kit. So another one of these weird things. We saw this with the Marivox, where it had on the cover it had all manner of different schemes. I'm not entirely sure that every single one of them was included in the decal, so that's a bit misleading, to be perfectly honest with you. But yes, the Norwegians certainly did use the Sabre. They're a very popular airplane. It was a good plane, no question. Right, we've got one of these very crowded, strange and busy instruction sheets, but it does come with some history. So it says everything is in French. Oh dear. Oh, come on guys. No, everything's in French. I'm afraid my French isn't that great. It does say, I'll tell you the bits I can read. It says, it's like a French test this, isn't it? The Sabre was the first jet fighter for the United States. Prototype recorded a speed of 1,080 kilometres an hour. That's pretty good, isn't it? So that's 650 miles an hour nearly. It's almost supersonic, isn't it? The Sabre became the standard fighter in the US Air Force, and in the War of Korea, the Guerre de Korea, it successfully was able to intercept and defeat the MiG-15. The quality of the airframe and its superior aerodynamics gave the USA an advantage, and it had very important qualities so that made it very attractive and superior to other aircraft from Japan, France, England, Germany, Korea or China, etc. The Canadians also decided to buy this aircraft and actually marketed it and manufactured it under the Canadair Sabre name, and also exported it to many countries under license. The last version of the Sabre Canadair, the Mark 6, was equipped. I can't understand what that says. That makes nothing or it means nothing. And then it just gives the speeds and specs and things. But it'd be nice if we put that in English, wouldn't it? You see? Come on, guys. I mean, Matchbox had the courtesy to put it in English and French. You could have returned the courtesy, couldn't you? Extended the same courtesy. But anyway, So it is all in French. Montage de fuselage, building the fuselage, montage the wings, finition, notes for the building, montage is building obviously. Anyway, we won't dwell on the French. But it's quite good in that it gives you some detail here. It shows you the actual position in the cockpit, the cross section, what it should look like. It tells you what the colours should be, as it did in the other kit we talked about, which is helpful, although it isn't very specific, but it is on the actual separate paint sheet. Yeah, fairly straightforward looking build, to be honest. You're just building up your intake here with the nose lip, and then you've got your front gear underneath. Got your guns already built in, and you've got your wings. Obviously, it's one big lower wing and then two separate top wings, and then you've got your drop tanks and your gear going in underneath, and that's kind of it really. On the other side we have got the decoration, painting in other words, and you've got the second Staffel of J.G. Richthofen in 1958 in the Luftwaffe, or you've got the American Korean War 51st Fighter Wing, which I think looks really rather nice actually. So there we go. Again, would have been nice if it was in English, but we won't dwell on that too much. So the parts. Let's have a look at this. It's in this sort of a metallised grey finish of plastic. What has happened to my blade? I seem to have misplaced the blade. I'm going to have to go with the scissors, I'm afraid. Not all done with that stage. Let's have a look. I'm going to have to very carefully scissor this and then try and reseal it for Chris later. To be honest, the scissors are much more precise than the blade is. It's getting a bit blunt, I think. Right. Yes. The Norwegian decals are included in the bag, so they have actually got the decals. A bit confusing though, isn't it? Why they couldn't just put them all on one. Anyway, we shouldn't mind. So we've got some nice Norwegian decals here, Norwegian Air Force, which is really cool. I always like the Norwegian flag and the way they present their sort of markings. They're really nice, aren't they? Very good. So put that in there. And then what have we got? Here we go. Yeah, this is very much of the sort of 70s, 80s vogue, isn't it? It's metallised grey plastic. It's quite attractive to the eye in a way. Not maybe as an ultimate finish, but yeah, it's not too bad. It's probably better than white, isn't it? At least on the camera you can see a lot more detail. So you've got a tail that is two separate tails on both sides. And then, oops, what's going on there? Very strange. And again, we've crushed everything into one great big bag, and there's half a sprue here, it's just got nothing on it. It's very odd. That is curious. Anyway, you've got your gear doors there, and you've got your front nose leg bay. Here where my finger is where the Sabre's nose is, the lip, intake lip. And of course it goes straight into the engine, lightning fashion. And then you've got these drop tanks. That's actually quite nice. Raised panel lines and recessed. Bit of both there. Yeah, raised and recessed. You've got recessed rudder. You've got your guns. Machine guns there. I think they're 50 cals, aren't they actually, in this aircraft? Is that right? Did it tell us that anywhere? Armament, 6 machine guns, that's what it says. Yeah, I think it's 50 cals. Well, that's very nice. I quite like that. And then we've got the other side, and it's almost like a duplication, but not quite, because it's got the tailpipe here. Tailpipe. And then we've got the other side of the fuselage. Nice detail here in the air brake bay, isn't it? That's quite nice. Nice looking plane, the Sabre, isn't it? Very graceful looking for a killing machine. Tanks again, and you've got your wheels and tyres and the gear over there. Then we've got the complete lower wing, which is here. Quite big, isn't it, actually? It's nice to have it in one piece. That's going to create less issues than having it as all separate, you know, and having it split at the fuselage. That always creates a gap, potential for a gap anyway. That's quite nice, I'd say. Again, it's a mixture of raised panel lines and recessed here at the flaps and the ailerons. And then here you've got your seat and your speed brake doors here. So that's quite nice, I'd say, quite nice. And you've got your tailplanes there, working tailplanes. And then we have got the top wing. There we go, top of the wing, and it's got that strange dogleg pitot head it has on the starboard wing. And again, mixture of raised and recessed panels, but nicely done, quite accurate looking and sharp looking. And then you've got your little pylons here for your tanks, and you've got some of the gear legs, etc., and gear door struts. F-86 Sabre F. There we go. That's nice though, isn't it? I quite like it. Nice plane, seems like a nice model really. And then finally we have got the canopy, which is actually rather nice, I'd say. Yes, that's quite a nice, decent clear part, I think. There's some very minor scuffing on this, but that's probably because of the way it's been packed. Everything rammed in the bag together, you know. Windscreen looks nice and sharp though, doesn't it? That's really good. I like it, I like it. Well, actually, despite the rather uninspiring box art, if that's the right word, image I should say, which is dire, isn't it? They're all dire, it's not this kit in particular, it's just the whole generation when they did this, when they put a photo of a kit. It's not going to sell anything, is it? Unless you've got some genius modeller doing it, you know, and they often are just rushed out quickly, so it loses a point for that. Don't particularly like the metallised plastic terribly, and the instructions in this particular variant are annoying because they're all completely in French. I managed to work my way through that there, but some of you may not be as good at French as I am. Some of you are probably better. But either way, it's a bit annoying. So I'm going to give it 8.5 out of 10. The actual moulding seems pretty nice, actually. It's surprisingly good. And you do get these three options. You can put it in the Norwegian Air Force if you want to. As is on the cover, of course, I just realised. But there you go, so you've got three good options: Germany, USAF or Norway. Nice kit, 8.5 out of 10, that's where I'm at. Hope you'll give me a 10 out of 10. Don't forget to smash that like button. And if you haven't already, just subscribe to the channel, click on the button to subscribe. And if you've done that already, don't forget to check that the notification bell is actually dinged, because a lot of them have become undinged for some reason. I don't know what's been going on, but it's worth checking. Otherwise you might find that if we have a live show that it's already underway when you're hoping to tune in, and we won't want you to miss it. So have a look at that and check it's all dinged up. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Thanks to Chris Doney for loaning us this kit. I'll get that nicely wrapped up for you again, Chris, and we'll get it back to you all nice and safe, along with the others that you've contributed as well. So thanks a lot. I think we all owe you a beer. So cheers very much. Actually, I should have mentioned as well about Chris Doney. He got wind of the fact when it was very hot weather and I was drinking the champagne, we talked about various beverages we were drinking, and I mentioned that I'd quite like the Henry Weston's English cider, and he lives very close to where that's manufactured, and he actually sent me as a gift a bar towel with Henry Weston's cider on it, you know. So thanks very much. I'm actually using that now. It's getting good use. So thanks a lot. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in, and I hope you found it interesting and enjoyable. Don't forget to tune in again for the next show, and in the meantime, until then, take care of yourselves, look after your nearest and dearest, and hope to see you again very soon. Thanks a lot, and bye for now.